As promised, we'll delve more into backshifting, and we'll also look at the subjunctive mood and hypothetical contexts, realis. So consider, to begin, these two formulations. How about going there tomorrow? And how about we go there tomorrow? The first suggests the emphasis on the action, and then the subject is non-specific or only known in the context. How about going there tomorrow? While the suggestion, how about we go there tomorrow, specifies or verbalizes who is participating, the we. Now consider this perfectly correct variant. How about we went there tomorrow? Where went is an instance of backshifting, go, to imply the speakers being open to others' options and or opinions on the given topic. Unlike what we're told, influenced by prescriptive grammarians in applied linguistics and computational linguistics who utilize a mediocre and limited database from which to draw conclusions, which impose so-called rules and restrict our language, and would have us believe that English should fit neatly into a box. It is, in fact, possible to say, how about we went there tomorrow? We could also say, how about he go there tomorrow? And there we're using the nullification of the inflection in the third person singular to indicate less attachment to the decision or outcome. So I seem to think that the influence of computational linguistics apparently makes it easier for those involved in computers and programming and grammar apps to narrow down our language so that it fits into their program. But this is where mistakes happen, I think, and this is where you get the bugs. So what you see here is content from my ebook, which is in the cloud. The ebook itself is compressed into over 285 pages, and it's expanding. And for the same price, you buy it one time for a lifetime, and you get the extra content of 2,000 and more files to go with it, which I explain also in the book how to search the content. If you're looking for subjunctive, then you go to the search field and you search subjunctive and you find several files on that. And here's just one of them in two parts. So subjunctive mood. Ever wonder why in the third person singular we will sometimes find the verb without the S on the end? Well, unless it's a mistake, it's your first clue that the subjunctive mood is present. It's important that we speak with him. It's important that he speak with him, or to him, either way. Where speak doesn't take an S, meaning at any time, possibly soon, or in all cases. Another clue is when you see if I were you, or if she were here now, I wish it were, and so on. These are clues to the subjunctive, and it's also a backshifting. In the case of need, we use the nullification of inflection. It need not be done by today. Then we have the infinitive, be, meaning actually we should call this base form. There is no infinitive as such, unless you can call this infinitive the nullification of inflection. He won't accept it, be it new or old, be it an animal, thing, or person. And we use backshifting for reporting. I suggested he did, or we could use the non-inflected do. I suggested he do the work first. I even go so far as to propose that ought is actually in the subjunctive mood. But we ought not delve further into this matter, as other linguists will find cause for disapproval, dare it put them in a bad mood. The subjunctive mood is, in English, far from more subtle and difficult to pinpoint. as one would otherwise say. One clue is the missing S in the third person, singular, if it is at all in the phrase, or the use of be in its base form, where it would otherwise be conjugated, but also backshifting be to were in the first person. Another indication of the subjunctive mood could be the omission of a modal like may, which is mistaken for an imperative. In the context, it should be understood, however. Have a nice day is not an imperative, after all. It really means, may you have a nice day, or I hope you have a nice day, which would be, again, a simplification. So, omitting certain words at the beginning, this is called situational ellipsis, and that is also covered in my book. Nice day, by the way, is what you hear people say today. Really, what it means is it's a nice day. But since these are fossilized, simplified phrases, we sadly lose the original sense. In fact, what is the subjunctive, but in a sense, futurity, which is also something I talk about more in my book. It's simply less indicative. Comparatively, will also implies if, even when if isn't explicitly stated. Consider these samples. The director insisted that he audition for the role. The senator urges or urged that the vote on the amendment be postponed. The defense asks or asked that the witness be excused. So, there we go. These might be used in reports. Here are some others that we have in the book. And then I also list some from ludwig.guru. And let's go to part 2. The use of the subjunctive is both an example of simplification and modality. The clue is not only with the use of the base form of be, but also base form of other so-called semi-modal verbs lacking a to infinitive. All of those are in quotations because these are terms that are debated. More visible, these are when in the third person singular, since there is no S on the verb. But a missing modal is another clue. It is important that the guideline be printed in boldface. Now, some would say should be, okay. With need, he need not do it by tomorrow, meaning it's not necessary for something to be done before the following day. Also, he should need do it by tomorrow. Replaces also should. We needn't be concise, or we need be concise, where to is omitted to indicate subjunctive or generalization. Remember my previous video, I talk about the functions of to, and to generally also involves choice and direction, but also condition and purpose. Or if you were, and so on. We have the word from German wäre, and the expressions of regret and wishes. I wish I were on holiday. He wish he were on Hawaii. I wish it were not true that you already used the voucher. And this committee recommends that the board adopt the plan before the end of the year. And finally, it's imperative that the meeting begin at once. Now, again, as I mentioned in my last video, lots of these examples and sample sentences are taken based on trying to explain a grammatical point. Naturally, they're not always authentic and they're taken out of contexts, so on. But we can see the form here clearly enough. Subjunctive, if he were to take this case, how many hours would it require? This is theoretical. The indicative is, if he takes this case, how many hours will it require? Its eventuality. So the subjunctive often emphasizes uncertainty of a condition or the counterfact of what is expressed. Let's look a little bit more into what so-called conditional to is to understand how backshifting works. So would, we said, was backshifted from will and implies a hypothetical scenario. In reality, there may be many, many ways of expressing the hypothetical potentiality, regrets, wishes, etc. What makes it difficult at first is that there are few subtle changes, few forms that indicate the subjunctive, such as the omission of S in the third person. To understand the subjunctive mood and backshifting, you need to know what is not being said. So in my book, you will see the table here, what is stated and what is implied. So what is implied is almost as important to understand. They would be offended if we didn't go to the party. Means I think we should go to the party. If you did more exercise, you would feel better. I gather you don't do enough exercise as you aren't feeling good. So we need to understand the context for using this backshifting. And if they offered me the job, I think I would take it. There is only a slight chance that they will hire me and I'll accept the post. A lot of people would be out of work if the car factory closed or were to close in the subjunctive. Although the plant hasn't shut down its production of cars, the result will create unemployed. If I sold my car, I wouldn't get much money for it. I haven't sold my car, but it is because it probably isn't worth it. If you sold my car, you wouldn't get much money for it. Of course, this could be your car, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's worth selling. Your car isn't worth much. What would happen if someone pressed this button in an elevator? I won't press that button unless you tell me what it's for. So you can see as I'm working on these files, I'm improving them as I go, and then they get put into the PDF formats, solidified. But I keep it digital so that you also get a chance to see how it's evolving. So I invite you all to go to the links below and have a look at the preface and table of contents of my book. And let's hope we can reform English for the better.